When you were feeling euphoric last time when we did our first workshop on humor?
Yes.
It was wonderful, right? I think this is a great undertaking of doing workshops by experienced members. So today we are going to focus on speech evaluations. How many of you have anxiety about giving speech evaluations? I certainly did when I started, but as I did more, it became better and better because like anything in life, when you jump into the water, you start throwing your hands and slowly you figure out, yes, I have to relax and do it in a certain way. And then after a few months, you'll start swimming. So speech evaluations are like that too. When you come up here first time, I remember when you were here first time, you were like wondering, how do I do this? Well, partly I'm going to give you an answer. So today what I'll cover are the basics of speech evaluation. I think most of you know, you have read the manual on speech evaluation, but after that basic, I want to show you the process of doing an evaluation. And with my over 15 years of experience at Toastmasters, I have developed a process that works very well for me. And I want you to try out today. So I've handed over a leaflet that looks like, can everybody see? Yeah, that's the leaflet I've given. I'm going to cover that, how to use that particular piece of paper to use to do the evaluations. So let's get started. First, I want to point out there are two types of evaluation. One is a speech evaluation that you give for any manual speech that's given in the club. And I'm going to cover that mostly. But I want to point out there is another type of speech evaluation, which is a contest. And there, what is the difference? Manual speech is always you are evaluating to objectives of that particular project. While as in an evaluation contest, you're not given any objectives. This particular person who's a speaker might want to inform you about something, might want to motivate you, might want to inspire you, or might be giving a humorous speech with a certain topic in mind. But you don't know, right? So there you have to sense the objectives and evaluate to win the speech contest. Well, important thing is understand the judging criteria. So I just want to make sure we understand the difference between the two types of evaluation. And I'm going to only cover manual speeches. So what does evaluate to objectives really mean? First of all, you as an evaluator do comprehend what the objectives of that particular manual speech are. Good, in our club, before the speaker is called up, we invite our evaluator to give the objectives of the speech. So that's a wonderful place for everybody to know what are the clear objectives of this particular speech. Secondly, read the questions from the evaluation guide of the speech. Every speech has, at the last page is the evaluation guide, which has specific questions about that particular speech. So these are the questions you should ask about the speech to yourself, whether this person really met these objectives or answered these questions. How well? That will give you some idea. Thirdly, understand in advance if a speaker wants to focus on certain areas of improvement. Now what happens is a speaker is giving speeches one after another, he or she starts noticing that in certain areas I'm weak. And so in really to help the speaker, you may want to go up front and talk to that person then, hey, is there any certain area you want me to focus on and give you specific suggestions? That will help the speaker immensely. So, find that out and make a note for yourself that focus on these areas. Here's an example of Project 4, how the objectives. First is an executive summary. Project 4 is how to say it. And executive summary says, words are powerful, they convey your message, influence the audience, blah, blah, blah. Here are the objectives. Select the right words and sentence structure to communicate your ideas clearly, accurately, and vividly. So that's the first objective. You have to pay attention whether this speech, today fortunately we have a speech number 4, and you will all get an opportunity to evaluate. How? Well, this is why I'm giving the workshop first. Then we will have the prepared speeches. There are 2 pre-assigned evaluators, they will do their evaluation. But I want everybody else in this room to use that sheet to give at least prepare one evaluation, either project number 4 or the other one is number 2. Avni is giving number 2. And during table topics, I will ask maybe 2 or 4 of you to come up and give your evaluation based on the training I'm giving today. So then I can find out whether I did a good job and I was able to help you, right? It's in my interest too. So objectives, clearly know what they are. Use rhetorical devices to enhance and emphasize the ideas. Whether the speaker did that. Eliminate jargon and unnecessary words. So what I'm saying is important to understand clearly what are the objectives of the speech. I've seen speakers who give speeches who have not even read the project. And many times, politely and nicely, I've told that speaker, can you please go ahead and prepare your speech? Because you are losing the purpose of giving that particular speech even if you haven't even read the objectives. Not every speech is the same. Objectives are totally different for every speech. So it's important that you evaluate your objectives. What are generally evaluators' goals? When you are a speech evaluator, what are your goals? Number one, you're evaluating the speech and not the speaker. This is very, very important, not only in Toastmaster, but in life. When we start giving feedback and we start blaming the person in some way or another, then that doesn't go well at all in life, right? But if you say your behavior or the way you said or you did this was not right, and then say it nicely, you're separating the person's speech versus who that person is. So important to remember you're evaluating the speech. You're giving a critique and you're not criticizing. What criticism is just blaming somebody who did this wrong, you don't know how to do it. But critique is really delving into the details and telling them that, look, you can improve, and here's my suggestions. You're already good. That's the difference between giving a critique versus criticism. You truly want to give a sincere praise. You don't want to be lavishly praised even somebody was not good, because that's not going to help that person. And feedback should be really honest. It's important. This part is important. Be objective about everything and not subjective. I've seen so many people, oh, your speech was excellent. Your vocal variety was outstanding. Your gestures were out of this world. Doesn't help me. Those adjectives are wonderful. Thank you for using the words of the day. But didn't help me, sir, unless you told me why was my vocal variety outstanding. So be objective. This is why your vocal variety was outstanding, because when you use that particular sentence, you spoke fast to explain what was going on. I was running, and when I was running, I spoke fast. That's why your vocal variety was important. Give specific examples. So be objective. Again, give specific examples. I think being specific is one thing that if I can give you, and if you can take away from this workshop, you're going to learn a lot. Be specific, not general. Offer advice to the speaker in the areas of improvement with specific examples. This is also a gotcha for many of these evaluators. They will not give specific suggestions. Oh, you need to improve on your eye contact. That's all. Yeah, I know that. How? So many times I've asked them, practice in front of your wife, eye contact, and give the whole speech. And your son and your daughter or your father, whoever it is, constantly look at people and never look up or down. That is a specific suggestion. Practice that way. So be specific. And use a tone to encourage and motivate the speaker. This is extremely important. Because, the speaker has come up prepared so much, worked hard, and if your tone is really you don't care, and you're not inspiring, motivating, or encouraging the speaker, what's the point in giving evaluation? Evaluation is not just for giving some feedback. It's really giving specific feedback so the speaker can improve and be encouraged and motivated to improve, and put that improvement is his or her next speech. That is the goal. So these are the general goals. Now, you may have heard about sandwich technique. Some of you may not have, but there are various techniques that have been developed. This is the most basic technique that's used in Toastmaster. So what's a sandwich? Well, essentially, a sandwich is 2 pieces of bread and a meat in between. What bread one means, you talk about what was good about that speech, the highlights. Meat is the improvement, and then you cap with the bread too, which is a summary to encourage and motivate the speaker. So in order to remember that, hey, I need to give an evaluation with the sandwich technique, you'll always remember cover the good part first. Now this is the simplest of the techniques. You can go out of this technique, use other ways. But this will help you with the sandwich to remember, look, I need to talk about what are the good things the speaker said, be specific. I need to talk about the meat, because meat is where the improvement is. If you're a vegetarian, there'll be patty of vegetarian vegetables. So don't think that I'm being biased here. And bread is the final bread that holds the whole evaluation. And that holding is important because the whole sandwich is formed, and that's the technique. State what was good and why. This why is very important. Many times I have not seen people explain, you did this well, you were outstanding, this is why, this is specifically you did well. But why was it relevant? You used this story, last time Ramya used the story of her husband having fear of heights. And she went into why. And so in evaluation I said, this is why, because story is so close to you, it was relevant. So why is important. Same thing, state what the speaker can improve and why. Why is again important, right? This is the area where your speech was a little weak. And this was the effect of it. I didn't quite get the sense of what you were saying. But if you take my suggestion and implement this particular idea, this is why the speech will look better. Why is important. Summarize and motivate the speaker is important. Again, your evaluation, remember, is a speech. It's a 2-3 minute speech. So you need to have an opening, body, and conclusion. What are quickly do's and don'ts? We are running out of time. Do not repeat the speech or content. I've seen many times this is done. Do keep the evaluation to speaker's level. Don't give if somebody's giving a speech number 1 or 2, don't give them evaluation for number 9 and 10. Or you didn't have so much vocal variety. Or this is not useful for the speaker. Be at that level. And if somebody's at 9 and 10 and you're giving it, oh, by the way, you were nervous. Well, that may be okay, but see the right level. Do offer your own specific suggestions. Again, this is important. Do not evaluate the content. Disagreement with ideas. The speaker may have the no ideas. You don't have to disagree with the ideas. It's just how the idea was conveyed. That's the content part which is important. And do structured evaluation like a regular speech. This is the part which is I want to give to you. Learn from others, their process of evaluation. Always see how others evaluate. How do they take notes? How do they prepare their evaluation? How do they deliver their evaluation? Here's one way I want to show you, and which is my way. It's a form that I've given you. There's a plus and a minus. That's pretty obvious. When you're taking notes, you write those down. And then the rest of the page. Now you don't need to, you can use this form if you want. Basically, what will be your opening? What are your plus 3 points, highlights of the speech? The 3 areas for suggestions, and give example. I put the reason why I said example, 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 and suggestion is so that you remember to do that. I want to show a form that I filled out last time for Ramya's speech, so you can see it and not think that I'm just talking. I actually used this. Ramya, if you remember, her objective was to. Whatever. Sorry about that.
Maybe screen is touch screen. You touch there, closed.
No, screen is not touched. I just suddenly lost it. Back. Okay, I apologize. Anyway, I used that form. Is it back? Maybe shift tab. Anyway, I showed example how to use it, and you will get an opportunity to use it today. Okay, let me bring up my final slide. In summary, remember 2 types of evaluations. Evaluate 2 objectives. What are the evaluated goals? Remember what I talked about. Be clear, you want to encourage the speaker. Be specific. I talked about the sandwich technique, do's and don'ts. And finally, I showed you an evaluation process. I'm actually excited that you guys are going to try to use this process today and see for yourself whether this process helps you in improving your evaluations. Thank you.